It is time for the CB Sports Network Rewind show here on KCIM. Again, brought to you by St. Anthony Rehabilitation Services and all the fun people that we got with that. And Jeff and Mason join with us in studio now. And guys, we've got a pretty cool interview, I think, today. A guy that most people will know for his running ability that they saw down there at ICAM Manning. But going to go run at the Boston Marathon as we've got Quentin Dreyer on the phone with us this morning here for Rewind.
Yeah, Quentin, of course, a former ICAM Manning standout athlete who ran up at Wayne State. And I don't know if he'll remember this, but I certainly do. The last time, Quentin, as we welcome you on, the last time I interviewed Quentin was a torrential downpour on a Saturday at the state track meet, and we ended up having to go up to where the media row sits, where Nick Brinks is at in the booth, and interview under a roof up there because it was raining so hard I couldn't stand outside with an iPad and trust that the iPad was going to survive it. Quentin, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Yeah, I do remember that. It was a hard experience to forget, being as drenched as we were.
Yeah, before we talk, you running in college and then now qualifying for the Boston Marathon next year, what was that like? Because, that was your last ever high school race. It rained about as hard as I've ever seen it rain. You couldn't probably see 10 feet in front of you. So what was that like to run in that now that you look back at it, so many years later?
I honestly couldn't think of a better way to end my high school career, to be honest, looking back. I just vividly remember leading up to the race, everybody was talking about storms coming in, and finally when we got on the line, and you could see looking south, just this dark cloud. I remember looking down the line of guys, and it could have just been to motivate me more, I guess, but I just remember none of them looking too excited to run in it, and sure enough, we started, and as soon as we got on the home stretch of the first lap, just torrential downpour. I still don't know if I was more wet from the rain itself or it getting kicked up by everybody else.
One of the things that's my favorite part of the memory was I was able to stay out there because I had my rain gear on and watch you, but you got done. Your whole family and your whole crowd that came to cheer you on stayed. And I remember you running over after you kind of got to the finish line and celebrating with your family and friends that were down in the front row of the bleachers. And you mentioned a great way to close a career. I have a feeling part of that great way to close the career was having everybody that was there to root you on staying out there and sitting through the downpour to watch you run.
Yeah, that was probably the best part of the race, to be honest, just knowing that even when they were all drenched, both family and friends, they still stuck around for the race. They had a pretty good front row seat considering everybody else cleared out, but even still, that was super special to be able to run right off the track and hop up on the concrete barrier and give everybody a hug and just be super thankful that they were all there to experience that too.
Looking back at your running days in high school, what were some of the other moments that really stood out to you that you felt like shaped you as a runner going into college?
I think qualifying for state a couple times, that was a great experience. I running in college, there were several places that we ran, obviously, but it's hard to compete with the Drake Stadium. It's awesome. But also running cross country too, and making it to state a couple times in that too. That was also a really fun experience, especially my senior year. I just remember there's a picture of everybody from ICAM Manning who came, and I don't think I've ever seen a bigger crowd of people show up to a cross country race. So that was really special too.
Quentin, speaking of that, what is it with ICAM Manning and the love of running there? They always do bring big crowds to cross-country events, especially to state, down to the track. You guys have such a great history, especially of people that run distance races and running in general.
I think it's just the community that we've built as a town and as a school, obviously, and just the culture that has been created, and we've continued. Well, I continued when I was in high school, and even now, hearing from my dad, who's still one of the track coaches,
yep,
just the togetherness that he talks about. it's just a good community and culture that I feel like has been created and is continuing to grow each year too. So I'm very lucky to have been a part of that and thankful for it as well.
Is your dad where you got your love of running? I know he still runs. If I remember correctly, as you were getting your college career started, you and him joined that Relay Iowa team that I used to run on, where you run across Iowa. So, and I think he's still doing that right now, and you're going back to it, if I understand correctly. So, is he where your love of running came?
I would say so. From an early age, both my mom and my dad kind of took me out for runs. When I was really young, my dad would run 6 miles every now and then, and I'd just tag along and bike because I couldn't keep up with him then. But I remember my mom, she would take me out for some 2-mile runs, and I feel like that is where that love really came from and developed. Just something that we can bond over, but also something that benefits us too.
Has the script flipped a little bit? Does your dad have a hard time now keeping up with you, or has he still got you in that?
I've got a little bit of a lead on him, I will say. I mean, Sunday we went out and ran 6 miles together, and he was only probably 5 minutes behind me, so he's still keeping up close enough.
How much do you still run?
Probably I try to stay around 5 to 7 miles a day usually. I think last week I clocked a little over 30 miles in the week. Back in college, I was running anywhere from 40 to 50, so it's down a little bit, but I also feel like that's kind of helps me to not burn myself out or overdo it.
How did your college training prepare you for getting ready to start running marathons, and what made you decide that marathons was something you wanted to do?
I would say that it helped me just as a runner to understand the difference between like mileage days where you just go out and run a pace that you can, a conversational pace where you can still have a conversation with somebody, but you're still pushing yourself a little bit, and workouts as well, just kind of how those are designed and how they benefit me. But I think it was about my middle of my junior year at college, I realized that I wanted to switch it up a little bit when I got out of college because I didn't want to, like I said, I didn't want to burn myself out from running. And so a friend hit me up back in August of last year asking if I wanted to do a marathon down in Kansas, and it was only a $20 entry fee. So I was like, might as well. And at that time I was helping out coaching a cross-country team down in Omaha where I was doing my student teaching. And just running with those kids every day was, besides running in the morning a little bit on my own, that was essentially the essence of my training. So
you went to Wayne State to run and everything like that. What was it about that place that you think helped you helped shape you in a little bit better of a runner? And what was it, about Wayne State that made you ultimately choose there to go and run?
I would compare Wayne State a lot to ICAM Manning a little bit in regards to the togetherness and the team culture that we had. I think it's about 4,000 students on average that go there, so it's a smaller D2 college, but it was still nice that you could walk around campus and see somebody you knew or see a brand new face every day. So team-wise, I felt like the same thing. We had a really good relationship with everybody. I did, at least on the team, and we really bonded during workouts and even outside of workouts. So the reason I chose Wayne State was mainly for my major. I'm going to be an industrial technology teacher and coach, and it's not a very common major amongst many schools, so they were one of the ones that did, and I toured there, and as soon as I was driving home with my mom, I said, this is the place. So
you earned a lot of honors while you were there at Wayne State, had a great career. Are any of those like memories, good memories for you? Any of those that were like, man, I that was a really good award that I won?
I would say it was kind of funny. Junior year up. Oh, where was that? I think it was St. Mary up in North Dakota. It was the conference cross country conference race, and coach was trying to figure out where I was at for the award ceremony, and he couldn't find me, but I was there. And they announced my name for the Elite 18 award, which is the athlete in that sport with the highest cumulative GPA, which at that time I think I had a 4.0. So that kind of caught me off guard. It was just that they announced my name, and I wasn't expecting that. So that was kind of fun.
Quentin, where are some of the most fun places for you, whether that's college or out of college, high school, all that you've gotten the opportunity to run at?
I would say Salina, Kansas. That's where I ran my marathon. It was kind of a unique race because it was a double loop. So they started half marathoners and marathoners at the same time. So half marathoners were done the first lap, obviously, and then marathoners had to go a second time. But it was kind of the first lap, I remember just trying to figure out where everything was. And that second lap, I kind of just really zoned out a little bit. I was still locked in on the race, but it was kind of the realization of, okay, I'm no longer in college racing, but there's still way more out there in the world for me to do in regards to racing and running.
Were you trying to make the Boston Marathon? Was that a goal for you when you started to do this, or how did that all play out for you?
Going into it, I didn't really have a goal until about a week or two before, and I kind of told myself, I was like, okay, you need to run sub 3 hours. That's a attainable goal that I didn't think was too crazy. And then I got talking to somebody, and they told me to look at what the Boston standards were, and I realized that for my age group, I think like 18 to late 20s, I think, and I was 23 at the time, was 2:55, and so I was like, I got to get that, I guess. And then I was also told that in order to qualify for Boston, you obviously have to hit that time, but a good buffer is giving yourself about 5 minutes, just because a lot of people have been qualifying recently in the last few years. So I kind of kept that in mind too. And I ended up running, I think, a 2:48. So that was, I guess I was trying to qualify going into it a little bit then.
What's the feeling like to know that next year you'll be running, in one of the most famous races in the world?
I had a few friends down there yesterday who ran it, and all of them say that it's an unreal experience, one of a kind. And just to see elite runners, obviously, who run it too, I can't wait. I have kind of a bucket list of stuff that I want to do physically in my life, and Boston is definitely on that. So I guess I'm just super excited for it.
I got to ask, you did run Relay Iowa 1 year or two, right?
Yep.
Do you remember Ryan Kramer?
I do. Yep, I do.
I think he's been in the Boston Marathon close to 30 straight years. You'll have to reach out to him. That might be somebody you know, and he's got a lot of experience there. So
yeah, I will definitely be hitting him up for some advice or training for sure.
What are you most looking forward to with being in Boston and a part of the marathon?
I guess just kind of the experience as a whole. If I could see some famous runners that I know of, obviously not fanboy out, but kind of just be like, okay, that's awesome. And if I am close, I obviously won't be close enough during the race, but in the start, if I can just see them take off, I feel like that would be really cool too.
Any final thoughts for you about running or going back to Relay Iowa? I guess, are you doing that this summer?
I am doing that this summer, and I guess there's kind of talks. I might be doing a half Ironman in September. So that was kind of another thing I told myself I wanted to get into when I was in when I was in college, and once I got out of college, I told myself I wanted to switch it up a little bit. So may try a little of the swimming and biking world along with running. So,
which one are you trying to get into?
Probably Ironman would be the coolest.
Okay.
I feel like it's just one of the hardest things you can do. So I feel like pushing myself to try to achieve that goal would be very, very rewarding.
Well, Quentin, I know you're currently working right now, and we're taking you away from work time. So tell your bosses that we appreciate them letting you join us here today for as much as you did. Congratulations on qualifying for the Boston Marathon. Best of luck with Relay Iowa. Tell my old running crew that you still get a run with that I say hi, and we wish you the best of luck with the Ironman coming up. So thanks for coming on with us today.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me.
You bet. Again, Quentin Dreyer, again, former IKM Manning standout athlete, joining us here today again on KCIM Sports Rewind. And guys, that was fun. It's funny to me that he still remembers that. It was probably more for the final race than having to interview with me, but I have never done an interview with somebody in such a torrential downpour. I mean, Casey, if anybody's watching on our YouTube channel right now, I couldn't see almost. I would have had a hard time seeing you with where I'm sitting right now. That's how hard it was raining that day.
I will say this for people that know Jeff. Whenever he talks about state track, that is one of the stories you bring up.
Yep,
is one of the first ones that you bring up and you talk about, especially when you're preparing somebody for like state track. You know, you're either going to see kind of hot weather or it could be a torrential downpour. Like this one time, I had to do a video interview in.
Yeah, and I'm so grateful for kids and young men like now like Quentin and stuff that they're willing to to bear either the heat or the torrential downpours to be able to do those interviews.
I remember that last year when I got that first conversation of every time we go to Drake the weather's going to be different, and I was like, the first day was cold, and then I got burned on the second day, and then it barely rained on the third day, but it rained, and we got in the car and got home after, and I go, wow, that was pretty weird weather, and Jeff looks at me and it's the same thing he tells me all the time. I told you that was going to happen.
That just means I'm old and I've lived through a lot of these.
You've been there since it was probably made, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I've been, I'm old enough that I've almost been to every state track meet. Yeah.
You and Jeff Storyhunt are going to have a statue out there, and Jeff taking pictures and you holding up the iPad with the kid.
Yeah,
doing a video interview.
That would be pretty cool. Yeah, but they can focus that on the kid and on Storyhunt and keep me in the background.
We will step away. We'll take a quick break. We'll talk local sports when we come back on KCIM Sports Rewind.
Thinking about a suppressor? Here's the big news. Approvals are faster than ever. With eForm 4 submissions, many suppressor approvals are coming back in days, not months. At Wendell's Weapons and Indoor Range, we handle the paperwork, fingerprints, and photos, guide you through the process, and get everything submitted the right way the first time. If a suppressor's been on your list, now is the time to act. Because when approvals are moving fast, inventory doesn't last. Stop in today at Wendell's Weapons and Indoor Range just off Highway 30 East Carroll. Veteran owned and operated.
Reese Seeds in Coon Rapids is proud to sponsor our FFA Member of the Week feature every Thursday at 10 a.m. on Carroll Broadcasting social media sites. Celebrate local ag leaders and future farmers. Brought to you by Reese Seeds in Coon Rapids. Find Reese Seeds on Facebook.
Join St. Anthony Regional Hospital for the 5th Annual Mental Health Awareness 5K Run Walk, Saturday, May 2nd at 9 a.m. starting at Fairview Elementary. Run, walk, make a difference. Stay after for a silent auction and be part of a powerful message. In every story, there is strength. Help us end the stigma surrounding mental health. Join us Saturday, May 2nd at 9 a.m. Register today on the St. Anthony Facebook page or website. St. Anthony Regional Hospital, always look to the cross, always St. Anthony.
We welcome you back to the Rewind Show here on a KCIM, Carroll Broadcasting Sports Network. Rewind Show on KCIM. Casey Miners, Jeff Blankman, Mason Nealon with you, letting you know what happens in local sports and throughout the area. It was a busy week last week for you guys, and it was a busy Monday as well. Things in full swing now. I think we've mentioned that like every week, but things in full swing. Drake going on this week. You got quite a few kids down there either running in relays or participating in field events and everything like that. What's been going on around the area here just the last week or so?
Finally, some somewhat decent weather.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say what I sat through on Friday up at the track meet in Sac City was decent weather. I don't think anybody would tell you that. Windy and freezing cold, but we've seen things warm up a little bit, and now we're luckily starting to get more events being held there for, I would say probably the first week and a half to 2 weeks of the spring sports season. And Mason, you'd probably think the same thing. There was a lot of nights where a lot of stuff was getting canceled. We would always have at least some events that would go, but I've never seen it bad enough where golf was canceling. We even had some nights where soccer canceled, and as Gary McGill always says, it can be 30 below, and that's perfect perfect soccer weather, So it's been kind of a rough start to the season, but last week we were finally able to get some. So I think Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, if I remember right, were really busy nights because the weather, it's still windy, extremely windy. Even last night was windy, but, you're at least getting better temperatures for the kids to compete in.
Yeah, and I mean, it was weird because, being second spring sports season in last year, it wasn't like that. We kind of eased our way into it. But this year it was like, you went from basketball to, all right, we're here in the spring sports season, to there's nothing but soccer possibly for a week and a half. And then now that we've actually gotten into everything, it kind of feels like, you hit a brick wall of, well, everything's here now, and we got so many things going on. But you know what? I'm glad that we have so much going on now, is because, with Drake and for Carroll, the Jim Duncan and all that, you need times to qualify, and we didn't have a lot of those track meets to let kids do that, and there wasn't a lot of golf meets to show what we actually have in our area to start the season. So I'm glad that we're actually getting into kind of the thick of our schedules.
And you and I ran through the Drake qualifiers the other day as they were announcing a pretty good list of kids. I'll read through it here in a moment. It was kind of fun digging through and seeing a lot of local names in there. We haven't had this many kids down at Drake for a few years, so congratulations to everybody that made it. I'll run you through here what we've got. I don't have the schedule in front of me, so I'll get that up on the website on the days, so I'll try to run through that this morning after I get done with some coach interviews, but I'll get the website updated with the times and days that all the events are going to be. But Max Butler, who has been absolutely fantastic for IK Manning in the 100 and 200, broke the school record again last night in both events. So 2 straight meets that he's broke the school record in both the 100 and 200, so he went out and broke his own. But he qualified for IK Manning in the 100 meters. You got the Carroll boys 4x100 with Traven Childress, Camden King, Landon Merla, and Lowell Thargiath. Now their alternates are going to be Adam Malik and Michael Rowetter, just in case. IK Manning boys are sending their 4x100 as well with Davis Rasmussen, Ashton Arenholtz, Zach Soldberg, also Max Butler, Brennan Morris will be the alternate for that event. Cal Hayden, who qualified last year in the shot put for Coon Rapids Bayard, is going to be heading back down there again. This year we've got 2 young men in the high jump. Last year, Trayvon Keeley nearly won it and competed really, really well down there. For Peyton Sheridan, he is back. Got 6'7" the other night to get himself in. And then Lowell Thargiath of Carroll, who has done a really nice job this year for the Tigers, is going to be heading down there. So it'll be fun to see a couple of those guys. Wendy Veit, who just has been absolutely terrific for Esac County in her year plus, just a sophomore, and is going to be running down there in the 400 hurdles. And Mason, help me out here. I'm old and you're young. Did she break a record with that here recently?
Last night she broke the school and the meet record over at Greene County, and she broke both of them. But we had a couple of records broken last night, actually.
We did, absolutely. And then the IK Manning girls 4x100, they're going to be heading down there as well. Anna Stangl, Olivia Lindy, Araya Miners, and Kaylee Rasmussen are the 4 runners, with Macy Rasmussen being, of course, the alternate. And then our final event will be Tristan Gordon of South Central Calhoun in the discus. She's going to have a chance to win a championship down at the state meet, and I think she'll be pretty competitive down at the Drake Relays as well.
And Tristan broke the meet record up at, I think it was Southeast Valley last night.
Yep.
And, I mean, she head and shoulders above the competition up at Southeast Valley. I think the next girl was low 100s, and she was up at 133, and I looked at it and I was like, that is, I mean, going into Drake, that's probably about the best performance you're going to want.
Yeah, to just flat dominate everybody else.
Do you think with how many kids qualified for Drake, that's going to be a good sign when it comes to state qualifying meets?
I would think so.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be more work for us, obviously, but for the more kids that get down there, I don't mind it because, we're already down there anyway. Why not flood the gates with local flavor with everyone down there? But, I mean, this year's just been impressive, and I knew off the start when track meets actually started running that we would see more and more kids kind of get down to state this year because of how well everyone's been competing.
Yeah, we've got some really good track teams this year. I do want to quickly just kind of throw this out there. We usually try to get down to the Drake relays and provide some coverage. We're still figuring out how we're going to do that this year. We applied for press credentials this year and did not get accepted for some reason. And not for sure. They do that sometimes because they have so many outlets that are reaching out. I think they rotate through some more of the high school, coverage outlets like we are. And so we're not credentialed, not going to be able to get down like on the field and everything. So we're going to have to figure out how to get down there and how to provide. So we'll figure out what day we're going to try and do that now instead of being able to go down multiple days. So we'll try to figure out and announce which day we're going to be able to make it down and how we're going to coverage. But that doesn't mean that if somebody doesn't do an outstanding job down there that we won't, relay that information to everybody here and also try to get interviews with them. Even if we have to do a phone call and interview somebody really quick over the phone, we will be monitoring heavy what's going on at the Drake Relays down there this week and pass that stuff along as quickly as we can, though we won't be in the stands or down on the field this year. So
yeah, I think that you look at it for some of the teams that, because Mason mentioned that Jim Duncan was last weekend, for the Carroll kids that went down there to compete, now they get to compete at the Jim Duncan, that was at Drake. Yep. Now you're the Drake Relays, third time potentially getting to go on a state. You get ran at Drake 3 times this year. That's going to be a good thing, that you're excited about.
And I think if you're Coach Rowetter and Coach Damewood at Carroll High and you have the opportunity to get kids to qualify for the Jim Duncan, you do that because you if they've never been to the Drake Stadium before, it gives you an opportunity to run there. And I think it's also, to me, it would be a motivator to try and get back either for Drake itself or for the state meet, because it's different. You heard Quentin talk about it here a little bit ago. It's different running there than it is almost anywhere else you get an opportunity to run. Yeah,
I would listen to your interviews last year. I don't think there was any kid that would walk away from the interview and I asked, what's the experience like? They're just like, it's a whole different ball game when you get down here. It's the best of the best runners. So for the Carroll kids to have that opportunity of, you go to Jim Duncan, and then you hit Drake, and then you go to state. It just kind of, in my mind, would be like, all right, we've done this twice now. We're going to go for the big prize of possibly a state title, top 3 finish, top 5 finish, whatever their goal is.
Yeah, I think that getting to run at Drake as much as you can only benefits you in the long run when it comes down to state.
And for the memories. Yep. Like I said, for Quentin, it's still a memory for him, and part of that was because he closed out his high school career there. But I think Mason mentions the interviews down there. The thing that always jumps out to me is not that, at any track meet you're going to have fans on the backside, but it's not a lot of times because everybody likes to sit over there at the bigger stands and be close to the finish line and the home stretch, especially because you're running the hundreds there and the hurdles there and the shuttle hurdle and all of those events, and you get a closer look. But when you go down to the state meet, there are so many people on the backside that it's just loud all the way around, and that's a lot of times the one thing that the kids really point out is it's amazing how loud that place and how many people are cheering for you, not just on the home stretch, but all the way around.
I mean, when you've got 4 classes running at not one time, but you're running your 4A through 1A 100 meters at the same time. You're slowly breaking it down. So when you've got that many schools in representation for all 4 classes in one day running that event, that the place is going to fill up quickly, and it'll be loud.
Yep, yeah. And, you look at the weather forecast for this week, it's Drake week, so there's got to be at least one day that's going to be cooler and rain.
There's going to be multiple days, I think.
Now they're going to be multiple days.
I think they're looking this weekend. It might be kind of raining too.
Okay, great. That's probably when we're going to be able to end up going down is probably on Saturday. So
I'll pack my rain gear in the back of the red car.
You've got some now?
Yeah, you saw me grab
it. We've talked a bunch of tracks so far.
Yep.
We had tennis last night. Audubon and Kemper boys tennis, the only 2 teams we got in tennis right now, but seem to be playing a lot better here as of late, and they've got some nice couple matches under their belt so far.
Yeah, I'll start off with Audubon. I literally, right before I came in for the Rewind program this morning, as we do weekly interviews with all of our area coaches at this time of the year, and caught up with Marissa Soder, who is the Audubon boys tennis tennis coach, and they haven't won a match yet. Part of that's they only have 4 kids out, so you're giving up 2 singles wins already and 1 doubles match. So you're down 3-0, team-wise. But the biggest thing, she was really excited because she's seen some really good growth. Fred Harris is back from last year, and he nearly won the other day, got beat 8-6. Cade Naughton's playing in their number 1 position this year, and he's starting to kind of figure some things out. And she made a great comment in there that I even forget sometimes. And I played tennis growing up as a kid, not at the high school level because we didn't offer it, but we had tennis courts in town. So I loved sports, and I would go up and play tennis with my friends on a pretty regular basis. Didn't think about the fact that, just because somebody might lose 8-1 or 8-2 or something like that, everybody's like, oh, that was not real competitive maybe when you look at the final score. And she goes, you'd be amazed at how many of our games are going to deuce, and maybe deuce for 6, 7, 8 times, or they're deuce before it ends up. So you might end up losing 8-2, but you're really not that far away from maybe winning. And she says that they've got some guys that are really close to maybe picking up those first wins, and she's really happy with the growth. Even the 2 younger guys that are out for the first time this year, the growth that they've seen. They'll get another guy back today, so the numbers are going to bump up to 5, so that should certainly help them out.
A lot.
So, yep.
Yeah, and for Kemper there, you get Jordan Tryon out, so you got that full team now, but obviously I think if you've read our recaps or listened to our audios here, Landon Potabom been dominant this season. I don't think he's lost in singles yet from what I've seen.
I think once maybe.
He lost a couple times in doubles, but singles-wise, he's having a great start to the season there. But for Kemper, too, inexperience is kind of what has started the season for him, but these guys are starting to get more and more experience. And you saw at the start of the year, maybe some 8-1s are now turning into 8-4 or 8-5 or something like that. So everyone's kind of just getting to that mid-season form, and I think they'll all be fine by the end of the season.
Who played well for him last night? Because I know you typed up the boys' tennis. I know Landon got the win. Who else played pretty well for him last night?
They had a couple of different guys that were at about 8-6. Unfortunately, Landon the only one able to pick up a win, but there was a couple of other guys in there that were 8-6s, 9-7s. You're right there in that, but unfortunate that Landon's the only one that could pick up the win in the singles.
And you mentioned something else there that, I think we've talked about it. We've changed up our Brinks Exterior Sports reports this year. Here in the spring season, we're trying something new. We always used to type up kind of a recap. We still have all of the results typed up, so if you miss anything, but we're doing more of an audio recap where Mason and I are throwing in some extra details and, running through all of the results in an audio. We did that for a couple of different reasons, but one of them is you can almost listen to now the results on like a podcast. So instead of having to read, the whole story, you can just kick back. You can, brush your teeth in the morning or have breakfast or whatever and just kick it on and listen to, the audio recap of what happened the night before, and you can move around the house. You don't have to be stuck there staring at your screen or whatever. But and if you miss something, like we said, everything is still typed up below you. You can scroll down and find whatever meet or whatever event you want and look at the results that way as well. So so just some slight changes to the Brinks Exterior Sports Report, but all of the information and maybe more information now available on that Brinks Exterior Sports Report.
Yeah, I can't wait to not have a voice by early August. We're going to be talking every day for broadcasting and for interviews, and then by about early August, I won't be able to talk for 2 weeks, and then we're into football.
Yeah, because baseball and softball season, they're already practicing, playing some spring games, but the regular season gets underway in less than a week. Yeah, or less than a week, less than a month.
Yeah, first practices will be the beginning of May.
Yeah.
So it'll be here before we know it. We'll step away. We'll take one more break. We'll talk some high school soccer. We come back here on Sports Rewind here on KCIM.
You'd rather be here. What do we mean by that? Well, at Wild Rose Casino and Hotel, it can be anything you want. If you love to win, we've got your game. Watch those points and rewards really add up when you play with your Club Wild card. The casino floor isn't the only place you'll get lucky. Great nights at Wild Rose start at Lucky Sports Bar and Grill. Stay, play, and win big at Wild Rose Casino and Hotel. Come see why when we say, you'd rather be here. We mean it.
As the athletes at your house prepare for hard work and fun of the season, remember that St. Anthony Rehab Services provides physical therapy for any sports injury that may sideline your member of the team. Sports injuries can plague kids of all ages and keep them from playing the sport they love. Athletes will be under the direct supervision of a certified and licensed healthcare professional in the newly renovated sports performance facility. If an injury is keeping your athlete out of the game, call St. Anthony Rehabilitation Services at 794-5000 for sports injury and treatment rehab.
It's the CB Sports Network Rewind Show here on 1380 AM, 95.1 FM at KCIM. And before we talk high school soccer, Jeff has got a big Nebraska shirt on this morning. And for people that don't follow college baseball, Nebraska had a really good series this weekend, knocking off USC.
Yeah, swept them, not just knocking them off, kind of dominated them. Had to come back on Friday. If I remember right, they fell down 7-0. And rallied back. I don't know if you saw how that one ended, but runner at first in extra innings, bunt up the third base line, pitcher throws it away, and the guy on first comes all the way around to score to give Nebraska the win. And then you 10-run. Number 12 or number 13 ranked USC on both Saturday and Sunday. Nebraska baseball sitting in second right now in the Big Ten behind UCLA, who they don't have on the schedule this year, which is crazy. But have an outside opportunity if they can close the season strong of maybe hosting a regional and being a regional host this year. It had been probably since the early to mid-2000s where we were a host of a regional. We've made the tournaments and stuff a lot of years, but getting a host is different, so hopefully they'll do that. And then double check me on this. I saw a post yesterday, and I didn't get a chance to pull up the rankings. Nebraska softball, I think, clinched the Big Ten title and maybe jumped to number one in the latest college softball rankings.
I'd have to check the rankings. I'm not sure. I don't know what ESPN put out, but
they're in the top 5 for sure.
Yeah.
But I think I heard that Nebraska may have jumped to number one in the college softball rankings.
There's so many different polls, though. You got the D1 softball that posts this stuff out. USA softball posts something out.
And I think it might be the USA one that they're number one in.
Because I know that ESPN's now starting to do their own rankings, too, for baseball and softball. Speaking of baseball, I don't know if anybody's going to beat UCLA this year.
Right.
You can't say that. They're going to slip up at one point, but the way they're playing, they're absolutely
21 straight wins or something,
I think
closer
to 23
right?
now is what it is.
So they picked up a couple of wins?
Yeah, they're playing really good. Speaking of playing really good, Carroll Tigers sitting 5-2 in boys soccer right now. One of their best starts that they have had in a really long time under head coach Gary McGill.
And you got a chance to talk to Gary yesterday, right?
Yeah, and this year I kind of said it in the interview, and Gary kind of backed up on it. This is just kind of the culmination of what has been building and what has been brewing over at Carroll High for soccer for a couple of years. You've had the kids like the two Polking boys and Landon Peterson that have been there and put in the time. But then you add Luis Caldera, Sawyer Hawkins, Caden Anderson, Jared Moore, Jake Jorgensen, Peter. You've got so many guys that have just started to, come out and help this team that I think they've started to finally bring the resurgence of soccer back to Carroll High and kind of this area as well. And you can't forget about Kemper down there, too. They've got some athletes, and, they've done a really nice job down there, ESAC as well. I think soccer's kind of trending in that upward position for this area, at least.
And we had one of those really cool feats in soccer accomplished last night. Charlie Mayhaw.
Oh yeah, four goals last night. You left me on a cliffhanger there for a minute, and I didn't remember. But
we were talking about it right before the show started.
Hat trick within 12 minutes of the start there, and it was impressive. He came out, and I wrote it in my notes as I was getting ready to type, and I was just kind of looking at how the game went, and on the way I was typing it up, I looked, and he comes out, and Kemper was aggressive right away. They had the wind kind of pushing directly out of the south, so it was that crosswind, but aggressive the entire way, comes out, scores at the 35 mark, the 30 mark, and the 28 mark to start the game, and then scored again in the first half, late in the first half, but a 7-1 victory for their first one of the year, and they face ESAC tonight, so should be a fun matchup of two teams.
And we have to announce our first soccer broadcast of the year, not on the radio, but on our CB Sports Network YouTube channel. We get to send you up there to Sac City, so any Kemper fans that have followed soccer, they don't play in Wall Lake now. This is the first year they're playing up in Sac City, but you and Jackson Kerrigan are going to be up there, bringing the first of, 3 soccer broadcasts on the YouTube channel?
First of 3 soccer doubleheaders within about a week. It's Tuesday, and then Monday, and then Thursday of next week. So, excited.
Kemper-Esac tonight.
Kemper-Esac Monday is Kemper-Carroll.
Okay.
Huge matchup over at the stadium, and then Carroll-Esac Thursday, and that's over at the Athletic Stadium as well.
Yep. So Mason going to get a broadcast 3 doubleheaders in pretty much a week.
Connor Crabb going to be there as well tonight.
Yes.
He's going to do some video stuff for us and put out some highlights of, the girls' game and the guys' game as well, and it'll be on the iPad over there. We're not on the radio at all, but it'll be one very long stream of games, and we'll just kind of follow the same format we've done for everything else.
Yeah, not going to break it down to a girls' broadcast and a boys' broadcast, and part of that was you're going to try and get some of the girls and the coaches from the girls to come up in between games, so we just wanted to stay live during that to maybe get some post-game interviews and stuff like that, and then you'll probably break away for a couple of minute break or whatever, and then head into the boys and preview and you and Jackson have a little video preview coming up at halftime of the girls?
Yeah, we figured since we're gonna try and jam everything in here and make it kind of look decent. We video recorded a preview of what the game will look like for the boys' game, and we may redo it today with Kemper picking up their first win last night, but we may end up redoing it. But we're going to have the preview of the boys' game during the halftime, and if we have time between games, I'll throw it back on between the 2 games, but just to save some time and have a chance to interview Esac's girls head coach and Coach Babe, maybe one of the girls, and then 2 girls from Kemper. We're going to try and preview it during the halftime of the girls' game.
And you'll try to get Coach Massey up after the boys' game. The reason why he said 2 girls for Kemper is Coach Massey coaches both. So he'll be going right from ending the girls' game and having probably the little huddle with them into getting ready to coach the boys' game, so he won't have time to come up in between games more than likely, so you'll probably have to catch him at the end of the boys' game too. So we'll try to get 2 of the Kemper girls to come up. So
before we talk girls soccer, we were talking UCLA baseball, so their streak came to an end. They lost to University of California, Santa Barbara or something like that, so they're on a new streak. Do you know what the longest winning streak in Division I baseball history is?
I do not.
So there are multiple teams that have won 34 in a row. It was Florida Atlantic in 1999, and then Texas won 34 in a row in 1977.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. No, did not know that.
I can't remember what UCLA's streak ended on. I don't know if it quite got to 30, but they were on watch for quite a while of breaking that record at 34. So I didn't know that. I had to just think of that while you guys were talking about soccer. I was like, I wonder what the all-time record would have been.
Yeah, no, and that's pretty cool. Hopefully someday somebody can get it. And that would be really neat. For girls soccer, real quick, Sierra Putin's banged up a little bit last week. Did you get a chance to talk to her? Is she back?
I talked to some of the Kemper coaches down there, and with prom this weekend, they just said that she looks fine, can walk, and she was. Actually, the funny part is I didn't know this. At the end of the game that she got hurt, she was telling Coach Massey when they were down 3-1 to Panorama, put me back in the game, I'm going to play. And Coach said, we're down 3-1. This game does not matter that much compared to what is going on with you. We're going to keep you off. But, both her and Riley Massey have kind of been dealing with some injuries. I know Riley got injured in a practice earlier in the year and couldn't fully run to start this year, but I think both of those girls are decently healthy now and should be pretty good to go tonight.
All right, and Carroll had been playing better, but ran into a buzzsaw last night at Carlisle, and Esac County still trying to fight through. They've been battling some injuries and stuff this year, so it'll be nice to see. Hopefully they can get healthy for that matchup with Kemper tonight. 2 other things that I want to throw in before we get to the end of the show here today. One, Mason did our first ever prom interview over the weekend. Kind of tell everybody how that started, actually.
So we were at a track meet, and I gave your nephew Isaac and Carly Arp. I was just kind of talking to him, and I was like, it'd be funny if that, I was attending IKEA Manning's prom anyway, the Grand March at least to watch. I was like, maybe I'll interview you down there, and Isaac, being Isaac, just kind of said, yeah, I'll do it. And so the hard part was getting Carly on board. And
that wasn't that hard, though,
It wasn't, actually. Yeah. She was like, I'll do it. And so then that morning you texted me and said, well, they expect the interview now. So I was like, I'll grab my microphones. And Jeff and I were down there, met up with Isaac and Carly, did the interview, and I don't think we're going to make this a normal thing for each prom, but yeah, it was just kind of a fun deal there. But it was part of kind of that 2-part series, is that I did it at prom, and then yesterday at the Denison Relays, you did an interview with both of them as well.
So I recapped with them how prom went, and then also talked to them, of course, about the track meet they were at yesterday. Real quick here, Billy Donovan out as the head coach of the Chicago Bulls after 6 years. So some breaking news in sports there. The other thing, and I know we're down to about 5 minutes and can't really run long today, I mentioned last week that we had a big announcement. We are going to be starting a CB Sports Network Rewind Hall of Fame. We're going to announce our first class beginning in July of this year. So what we're going to do is once a month, we'll announce on social media who is being inducted into our Hall of Fame, and we'll have the ceremony in July of 2027 to induct. We're going to do 10 athletes, 5 girl athletes, and 5 boy athletes, and then we're still working on the number for coaches. We had started with 2. We may adjust that a little bit and stuff, but we're going to put some coaches into the Hall of Fame as well. We apologize to anybody that played before 1980. Dean Onken, one of those. I just want to throw that name out there. I know he is a Hall of Famer. Whether he's in our Hall of Fame or not, he is a Hall of Fame player and just a great guy. But hard to find people or schools. The schools don't have a lot of details, so it's been hard to find people to be able to go all the way back. So we're going to cut it off at 1980. So you had to be at least a senior in 1980 to be eligible to be on the Hall of Fame. But the Hall of Fame will go from 1980 to today. We are going to put some restrictions for athletes. You have to have been out of high school for 5 years to become eligible, and for coaches, it's looking like it's probably going to be 2 years. But we're going to induct 5 girl athletes and 5 boy athletes, and 2 or 3 coaches, or maybe somewhere around that every year. So we'll announce one person in July, one person in August, one person in September until we have the entire class, and then we'll honor them all at a ceremony coming up. But our first ever class, we're working on it right now on gathering all the details and putting everything together, but we'll have a committee that selects. But yeah, we're going to be starting a Hall of Fame here. I'm pretty excited about it. It's going to be some extra work, but I think it's going to be really, really cool, and we're going to kind of tag it in with our summer all-star festivities that we do, that we'll have the Hall of Fame ceremony coming up before that. So,
and I just want to preface this for everyone that, we're going to have a Hall of Fame. It's going to be a couple of us voting. Don't go hard on us. That's going to be
more than a couple of us, yes.
We're going to have input from others, but go easy on us. I know from 1980 to about now and even later, there's going to be phenomenal athletes littered everywhere. We can only induct 10. So, if we leave somebody off, it's not that they weren't a great athlete, but we can only induct 10 a year.
Yeah, and a year thing is the key there. If they're not if they don't make it in on the first ballot, that doesn't mean that they won't
eventually make it in
at some point. But we're doing all of the schools that we cover, so this isn't just a Carroll thing or just a Kemper thing or the thing for them two together. It's going to be pretty much 11 schools, and in a way more than that, because we've had some schools that have consolidated. So we'll have the consolidated school, and then also the school that we covered before they consolidated will be a part of that.
So Wall Lake, Lakeview, and Auburn, and then you'll have Southern Cal,
Manning and IKM Manning and Southern Cal and South Central Calhoun. We apologize to the IKM people that were great athletes to the Rockwell cities, but we didn't cover the Sac cities. We didn't cover those districts themselves, so we are going to limit it in a way to the schools that we actually covered. So Wall Lakeview Auburn athletes are eligible. Southern Cal athletes are eligible. Manning athletes are eligible. I think Coon Rapids and Bayard at one time were separated. I don't remember exactly when they got together, but that's kind of the way we're doing it, and it's hard to make those cuts. Like I said, I apologize to anybody that played in the 70s that had an amazing career, but it's difficult to find people and the information even back to 1980 to be able to do this. So that's kind of why we made 1980 the cutoff.
And a lot of work's going into this.
Yes,
a lot of work is going into this just to be able to get the stats and notable names from people. Because you've got to find somebody that's been at the school either for that long or has stuff back that far.
Absolutely. And part of the reason why we're announcing one a month is we want to put something out on social media, a little recap of what they accomplished during their career and what made them a Hall of Famer and stuff. So we're going to announce one athlete each month and coach each month, up until we do the full thing. So there might be a month where we have to throw 2 in. We'd probably split them up within a 2-week gap or something like that. But really looking forward to it. And we're putting in an awful lot of homework right now, and so is the committee that I've kind of put together to help get this whole thing established. And I'm not going to give any names, so don't ask me who's all on the committee, folks. We're doing this kind of without their names being a part of it, because they want to help. But we thank all of them for the amount of time that they're going to put in to helping us establish this thing. So, but it'll be something that will continue into the future, hopefully long after I'm gone and long after, Mason, which is going to be like 50, 60 years from now that he steps away. So
I don't even know if he really. I was waiting for him to acknowledge that.
50, 60 years here.
Yeah, 50 years only puts you at 70 years of age. You're still young.
Oh, whatever.
That has been KCIM Sports Rewind. Check out a podcast of it up in just moments.
Western Iowa's